what was the driving force which uh, motivated you to be an entrepreneur?
My career. I mean, I fell into being a chef. I never planned it. It was just something that I was good at, and I traveled the world. And
The secret behind such a dope voice, like you have a very charismatic voice, and I think it's a very important thing.
people comment on my voice, but I've never been asked that question. I think probably the whole of my 20s, I was traveling the world.
Have you ever thought that you can earn millions of dollars? Yes, millions of dollars by becoming a coach, by training people, by giving them your knowledge. You don't believe me? This can happen in 2025 because we will be having a very special guest, Chris Alder, because he has been working in this coaching industry from last 15 plus years. Thank you so much, Chris, for your precious time.
Great to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Chris, there are a lot of things that I can mention that you are integrated master coach. With that, you are working with International Coaching Federation. You're affiliated with that. With that, you are a trainer, entrepreneur. You are working on all the fields, right? But for the better understanding of our audience, if we go back in the past, I was searching about yourself. You were a chef. All everybody knows that. But what was the driving force which uh, motivated you to be an entrepreneur, to be a coach, to be a trainer? Who inspired you?
Yeah, great question. I think there's a couple of different things that happened in my career. I mean, I fell into being a chef. I never planned it. It was just something that I was good at, and I traveled the world, and it really served me well. And at the end of my career, I was working on super yachts for the rich and famous, the big, amazing boats that they own. And I was a private chef for these people that were very rich. And I saw how unhappy they were. I saw how most of them didn't have time to actually enjoy their life, enjoy the amazing luxury they were living in. So I think I was really inspired by a lot of them to understand human psychology a little bit more, understand people, what makes them happy, what drives them, what makes them really successful, not just in monetary terms, but successful in themselves. That was one side. The other side was I just got bored by food. And a lot of people that can't cook very well, they struggle with that. But for me, food is like a formula. You get a good piece of steak and you cook it well, it will always turn out in a certain way. Human beings are so much more complex. Every single coaching client I work with, there's no magic formula. I have to do something different with every single one of them. So I just got bored with food. I think people are way more complex and way more fun to work with.
Very true, because I've been interacting with many people, and it's very difficult for us to understand humans, their behaviors. Whenever you try to do something, it is always equaling to resistance, challenges, problems. Because
Yes.
when you are trying to do something, and back then you don't have that much resources, because today's generation, they have a lot of guidance, they have a lot of people who can guide them. But when you started, what were the challenges you faced at that period of time, and how you conquered them as a warrior?
I love another great question. Yeah, obviously, I didn't come from a business background. I think that was my biggest challenge. I came from kitchens. And though I worked my way up and I was a kitchen manager in Scotland before I kind of became a coach, I still didn't understand business, but I understood people. I was very well trained in people. So I think that's what gave me that warrior spirit to just keep going and looking for clients that I sometimes didn't understand the business context, some of the language they were using. But I would say 99% of business problems are actually relational problems. It's how we work with other human beings. It's the challenge. You might have a great product, a great idea, a great customer base, but you get caught up by actually how you manage the business, how you work with other people, how you get that product to market. It's all to do with people. So I really grounded myself in my knowledge of people And that's what gave me the confidence to really carry on in my career. And it took me a good 5-6 years of slowly decreasing my catering work and slowly increasing my coaching work until I transitioned full time.
Okay, so you have totally transformed yourself from a kitchen person, then an entrepreneur, and after that you were conquering all these problems by your own. You have been working for the people, right? You have been training them as a leader. But on the other side, we'll listen this word entrepreneurship as well. So can you elaborate what is the main difference between entrepreneur and leader? Can entrepreneur can be a leader, or every leader is an entrepreneur? What is your take on it? It is a very complex question.
It
I,
is.
I know.
How long do we have? Yeah, no, I think they go hand in hand, but obviously depends on what kind of business you're in. You have to really lean into your entrepreneurial skills, and your leadership skills might not be as well developed. Whereas if you're in a business that's been around a long time, you're going to be heavily leaning into your leadership skills and a lot less in the entrepreneurial skills because they're a very different skill set. They complement each other, but they're a completely different skill set. And a lot of entrepreneurs are amazing thinkers. They're ideas people, but they're not people. And that's where the leadership skills come in. So I'd say that some of my best work is where I work with an entrepreneur who just doesn't know how to handle people. Their idea, their product, their whatever they're bringing to market is incredible, but they don't realize they need 50, 100, 200, 1,000 people around them to take it into the world and be successful. And that's where I help them because people is my speciality.
Okay, like I'm very curious. You have been using this word, and I think our audience is also very curious. That what does it mean when I say I'm a people person? Oh, like it means you're a famous person. That's how you can be a people person, or you're understanding the needs of the people, or you're understanding their what they need from you as a leader, as an entrepreneur, as a trainer. So can you elaborate this terminology?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of it comes down to perspective taking. And that's something I help people increase their perspective taking ability. And there's a great trick you could do if you've got a child who's 3 or 4 years old, you can actually hold up a piece of paper that's say red on one side and green on the other. And you can say, what color am I looking at? And they will tell you this color. And you can turn it around and you can say, what color am I looking at? And they will tell you the color they are looking at. They cannot yet take your perspective. That comes online about 5 years old. That's why a child will cover their eyes and go, you can't see me. Because they actually think you can't see them because they can't see you. So our ability to take perspectives increases throughout our life if you develop it. It's like any muscle. So I think the best kind of leaders, the people, are the ones that can really take their employees' perspective on a situation through time and space. That's quite a high cognitive capacity for someone to put themselves in someone else's shoes and really not just empathize, but understand their situation and be able to adapt and support them. That's a skill to develop, which I love helping leaders develop. And suddenly their world gets easier when they can do that. But it's a stretch, like building a muscle. You have to go to the gym and you have to work it out, and it can be painful, but you get somewhere in the long run that's a lot better.
It truly makes sense, and I think no pain, no gain. Whenever you're trying to develop, but you need to have a vision, and after that, you need to take the perspective of the other person as well. Like if we talk about we invited you here, you agreed, and you have seen the perspective. That's why you are here to share your experience with our community.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and now I will going to detrack you a little bit because I have a surprise rapid fire questions for you, which was not part of our discussion, but I really enjoy this part because I get to know about that particular person a lot more. So
Yeah.
you are a morning bird or you are a night owl?
That's a good one. I would say I'm neither. I love sleep. I was in bed 11 hours last night. I felt like I needed it. So I went to bed early and I got up late. So that's my ideal, is actually to do neither of that. I work very well during the day and then I want to sleep really well as well.
So you have given this answer very diplomatically, 50-50 both, right?
Exactly.
Tea or coffee?
Used to be tea, but I've started not having dairy products anymore. So now I have coffee because it's just easier to have coffee, milk alternatives. So yeah, I love coffee now.
But it's still 50-50.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Any secret talent that nobody knows and you are revealing on our platform on TBN?
A secret talent. Oh my God, that's a really good one. Um, I used to do something called the devil sticks. I'm not sure if you've ever seen that. It's like a two sticks and you can throw it up. I used to do that at festivals when in my early 20s with it on fire. And I used to like
Okay.
perform in front of people. It was never that good, but it was good fun. But I never caught anyone on fire, which was good. But that's definitely a secret talent. Very, very few people know about me.
Okay. Dream job as a child.
It's actually an architect. I'm very like structured and mechanical, and I'm really artistic, which I think is why I work well as a chef. And there's not many careers that you can be really both of those at the same time. But I would say I am as a coach as well. I'm very structured and I'm very artistic in even my coaching. So yeah, I wanted to be an architect, but then I learned it was 7 years of study, and that put me off. Too long.
Okay. Favorite destination for holiday.
I'm going to be diplomatic on that one as well. I like variety. My dream destination is to go on a different holiday every year. I don't want to go back to the same place. I get bored very easily. So I love traveling the world and seeing different places. So
Okay.
mm,
Lastly, last book you read, and what was the message you get from that book?
mm. I'm still reading it, but I mentioned that it's called The Power to Be Disliked. And I love that book. There's a lot of deep coaching philosophies in that book. And it's really just that authentic power to be yourself and not care about what others think of you. I think if I could give one skill to everyone in the world, I think it would be that is to be liberated from the fear of upsetting other people because we keep ourselves so small from that fear, so small.
Okay, this is an end of a rapid fire round. Now,
Mm.
like I'm hearing your voice, and I'm like, ah, this man has a very dope voice. So, what is the secret behind such a dope voice? Like, you have a very charismatic voice, and I think it's a very important thing for a communication as a person when you are communicating. So, what are the secret behind this, and how a good voice can make an impact on the other person?
That's a great question. I've never been asked that. A lot of people comment on my voice, but I've never been asked that question. I think probably the whole of my 20s, I was traveling the world. And I'm not that good at languages, so I always had to rely on other people speaking English to me. So I think I've learned to be very articulate and clear just because I was speaking to so many different nationalities around the world, and I wanted to communicate well with them. So I realized, the more sort of embodied and calm and clear and articulate the connection I can get with people. So I think it came from travel. And I think travel is a great way to broaden your horizons and actually help you be a better communicator because you see so many different perspectives in the world, so many different ways of doing things. And I'd say that that was a big impetus for me becoming a coach as well, was just seeing the variety and the diversity of the world and falling in love with it.
And you know that this thing is scientifically proven now that if you have a good voice, if you have, because as a human, we have frequencies, right? We
Yep.
try to catch the frequency, and after that, we build a relationship. So I am feeling very relaxed and calm while talking to you. Now we have to come back on the track, and we should supposed to do what we were doing. Any case studies you usually talk, I was going through your profile, I've seen a lot of posts. You talked about successful leadership transformation. What is successful leadership transformation? And can you show us, can you tell us any case study from your previous students?
Yeah. Excellent. Great question. I think I go quite deep and psychological in my coaching, which I think is what's needed. A lot of the time when a leader steps into the leadership role and then they work their way up an organization, they just keep developing the way in which they've started being a leader. And that's probably based on a lot of assumptions that were not true. To be a good leader, I need to be powerful and, I need to sometimes even dominate others to prove my worth so I can belong. So in my coaching, I really uncover some of those beliefs. And there was one client I worked in particular who thought he wasn't powerful. He grew up in a family where he didn't feel powerful. He was, had a very powerful father who he felt very small against. So he ended up being, a leader of thousands of people in an organization, still not feeling powerful, even though he had a lot of power. So the way in which he was showing up, the way in which he was leading was not helping his organization. It was causing conflict all the time. So through the coaching, he started to realize he actually was powerful. He'd made an assumption that he wasn't. Because if you make an assumption you're not powerful, you're going to bring too much force to everything you do because you think you're not powerful. So he was bringing too much force to his meetings, to his one-on-ones, to the way in which he led the whole company. So he started dialing back his force and holding back his power a little bit more. And suddenly everyone started working better. And he started getting on with them better. And the whole organization shifted because he realized he was using too much power when he didn't need to. So for me, that sort of deeper psychological interior work of leadership is where the real transformations happen. To answer your question?
Uh, I'm very amazed. To be honest, uh, I'm feeling very relaxed and I'm feeling like as a student of yours, and I think that is a compliment for you.
Thank you.
Now, you have been talking about stress management in leadership because
Yeah.
as a leader, you have a lot of burdens, you're managing a lot of things. So, what are the main exercises? How, if I talk about myself, I'm doing this work, I have a very hectic routine, I'm doing that work as well, I'm doing podcast. So, how I can manage my stress? There are some practical exercises that can I do because there are a lot of people on YouTube, social media. Everybody is coach now, no? Everybody is guru. Everybody is doing
Absolutely.
one mantras, right? But credible people like you, what is your take on it? What sort of practical exercises you were going to suggest to young people who are stressed?
Yeah. Great question. And I'll have a little caveat that I am also a Zen priest. So spirituality is a deep part of my life. I teach meditation as well. Yet a lot of the business leaders I work with, they don't want to learn meditation. They don't have time for meditation. So for me, I really try and pride myself on being very practical in any technique or tool or practice that I give my clients. And it can be as simple as every morning when you brush your teeth, just do that almost as a meditation. Do nothing else. Just brush your teeth. And that could be transformational for some people because they realize they rush around all day long. So I'm like, just have a 2-minute break while you brush your teeth in the morning and in the afternoon. So for me, it's a lot about weaving in micro moments of rest and relaxation. Not have to do the half-hour meditation a day or the half-hour of yoga. That people put an expectation in their head and then they don't live up to it and then they beat themselves up and that doesn't get anywhere. But what is it? Is it when you walk from your car to your office, which is a 5-minute walk, you just walk a little bit slower and a little bit more mindful. And then you arrive at work feeling ready. So what is it? Like, where in your life could you add those like micro moments of presence and relaxation? And if you do that multiple times throughout the day, it will shift a lot of things. Sometimes small is better.
And I think we are not living in a moment. We are in that era where everybody, if we are eating food, we will take pictures. Firstly, we will update
Exactly.
on social media, and all
Yeah.
the more the digitalized we are getting, the more complex life we are creating. Lastly, your personal achievement. I know that by your personality, you are not that person who want to show off his achievements, but uh, for the inspiration of the people, any
Yeah.
one achievement of yours you are proud of.
I think it's a cliche, but I will say becoming a father and being a father. I would say it's the most challenging, developmental, rewarding thing I've ever done in my life. And I left it till late. I became a father at 45 and I fought it. I didn't want to be a father. I didn't want parenting. I was too self-centered, I would guess, in some regard. But it's been an absolute gift. And I learned so much about myself through my daughter every day. And it makes me proud. It makes me proud when I see her reflecting back some of the qualities that I'm giving to her. You know, kids are a mirror. They just mirror everything back, the good and the bad. So I feel proud when I see the good mirrored, and I get interested when I see the bad mirrored, because I realize that must be coming from me.
Yeah, in our religion, this is a most famous quote that children are the face of God.
Yes.
Reflection they have in their
Yep.
personality, it's a God reflections, right? Chris, we have a lot of things to discuss, but we have a time limit. But before leaving, any message for aspiring people, those people who are continuously doing something, but they are facing failures, entrepreneurs, they are working on their startups, but their startups are not working properly. What is your golden tip to them?
Yeah. Something a real theme that's been coming up with a lot of my clients recently is trust. And there's so many different aspects of trust. You know, we talk about trusting ourselves, trusting others, but I'd say it's trusting the process. It's like having deep trust that it will turn out okay in the end. And even reflecting back, like it's so easy to like look back in our life and go, yeah, everything has worked out, hasn't it? But we forget that. And we look at our next challenge and think, oh, it's not going to work out. It's like so many times in your life it's worked out beautifully. Why can't we trust that? Trust that it will work out for the best and highest for us and everyone else around us. And if we can ground ourselves in that trust, magic can happen, really can.
Miracles happens and do hard work and silence. Let the success make noise. Thank you so much, Chris, for your precious time. And I hope all the viewers are going to like and love this podcast. Do leave a comment over here. We will be going to meet you in the next podcast with an amazing guest. Till then, take care. Bye bye.